So, I have another video to react and respond to. This one is The Problem with Street Fighter 6 by MachoorTV. Forgive me and correct me if I pronounce that wrong. At first, I clicked on this because I thought this was like some high-level player giving us like insight to like the actual problems of the game. But I already listened to it once. I watched the whole thing, and yeah, no, it's just another salt ramp. But what he says is something that I hear a lot of people say all the time. Like I get in arguments on YouTube a lot about some of the stuff that he says. So I'm responding to this not like as a direct like I'm not picking on him in particular, but just tackling the ideas that he puts forth in this video, because it's the same shit that I hear so many other people say. And I'm gonna spoil it right now. He's going to talk a lot and not really say anything. He has that bad habit of just stating a bunch of facts and describing a bunch of things and not really explaining why any of those things is a problem. And like always, I'm gonna go through it point by point. But yeah, it's something that bugs the shit out of me when I talk about people online. And for the record, I'm not like some super like high level Street Fighter player. I've been playing Street Fighter for a long time, yeah, but I do not get super consistent like results at all. I probably have like 2 characters in Master Rank. Not for lack of trying, just I'm not that good. I will admit that right now. But I don't even think this is an opinion that you would need to be like really good to have. I think just like pure observation and just like paying attention to like Street Fighter's history and how it's going down now is enough to, you know, have an idea of like what's going on. But anyway, let's get started. I skipped the first minute or so because this is a VOD that he recorded off his Twitch, so this is not edited. There's probably going to be a lot of awkward pauses, so forgive him, forgive me, whatever. I'm going to go through point by point. Yeah, let's go.
Does really piss me off. The sticks like glue to you. Exactly, bro. Exactly, bro. Exactly.
I'm assuming the context is that he just played a ranked game and he just played like a rushdown character of some kind, either like Rashid or Ken or something like that, and he's frustrated. I believe that's the context. I wasn't here for the stream. There's nothing before this video that shows that, but that's my best guess, because this whole rant is mostly about the super offensive rushdown characters. So.
And they get strike and throw Oki from knockdowns. Every knockdown, strike Oki, strike throw Oki, strike throw Oki, strike. Oh my god! Stop this, Capcom. Like, this is not fun. This is really absolutely not fun. Like, this game is just made for. I swear to God, this game is made for viewers, man. This game is literally made for viewers. It's not made for players. Like, it's made for, you know, just making sure that the viewer, like, it was made for esports. Like, they wanted to make something that is fun for esports, something that would sell, you know, and viewers would watch it. Even if somebody does not play the game, doesn't know anything about fighting games, doesn't know anything about Street Fighter or anything like that, they would, you know, enjoy watching it. That is the goal. I think this is the goal of Street Fighter 6, bro. I really think they designed this game just to do that. Just to do that, you know. Oh, look at him, he's turning green. Look at him, it's turning red. Look at him, it's turning blue. You know? That's what it is. That's what it is, bro. It is absolutely chaotic. Chaotic. And
Okay, so first point. Game is made for esports and viewers. Maybe. Who knows? Like, that's such a nebulous concept. Like, it's not like fighting games are not made for viewers. I mean, like video games as a whole, it's a visual medium. So like, yeah, like you would think that you would want something to be fun to watch alongside like being fun to play. I don't think that they purposely just sidelined like the players to like appease viewers. I don't even know what you could do to do that. Like, how would you plan that in advance? Like, how would you say to yourself that, like, all right, so let's make the game more visually stimulating and readable to people watching it, but let's also sacrifice the fun of the game for the players. Like, how? Like, how would you even come up with that? You know? I'm not saying it's not true. It's it's very likely true. Like it's been very obvious that Street Fighter has been like trying to become like their Capcom Cup exists. You know, they literally made an entire fucking circuit for esports. Like, yes, of course the game is going to be made for esports, but like, does that take away from the game being fun directly? I don't think it does, and I don't think you have the ability to explain how that would even come about. Like, even not even hypothetically. Like, how do those two ideas clash? Like, those are two completely mutually exclusive concepts. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
It is just like it's hurting the player base. I think this is hurting the player base. It's hurting the pro players at first, and it's hurting everybody who's actually like trying to take this game seriously. Because you see, like in these tournaments, people are just not consistent, and it's not consistent because the game is chaotic and random. There are a lot of random stuff, a lot of chaotic stuff in this game that are just absolutely strong, and it's just designed this way. And
all right, chaotic, yes, that was the point. Because like early Street Fighter V, the number one complaint was that characters just didn't have options. Like, everyone had maybe like one or two combos in total that you could ever use, and there was no way to develop the character any further beyond just like the set in stone like combos and setups that like Capcom just built into the game, and they weren't even hard to find. Like, you take like an hour of your time to put your character in training mode. You figure out like what their normals do and what their frame data is, and you basically figured out the character. Now it's all about like putting all that in a match, you know, like being able to execute all that stuff in a match. And we complained, we bitched. Like there were versions of the Street Fighter V beta that people said were better than the actual released product because characters had more options, and then they removed them. And we were upset. We were all reasonably upset. And now, in Street Fighter 6, they give every character more options, not even just like through the mechanics, but just in general. And then they add more mechanics so that like every character has shit to do. Even the worst characters are like not that bad. Lily won a major at some point a few months ago. Like, and Lily was widely regarded to be one of the worst characters in the game. I think that's pretty cool. I think that's pretty fucking exciting. I don't want, like, matches to be the same every single fucking time. Why would you want it to be consistent? That's gross. That was, like, a major complaint with Street Fighter V, that matches would kind of just play out the same. Oh, Balrog is, like, back through you in the corner. Now he has V-trigger, and then you just die. It's like, that's not fun. It's not fun to watch, nor is that fun to play against. They did their damnedest to design the game around avoiding that happening, and somehow the result is the same? Like, even with all these mechanics, even with all these additional defensive options on top of the offensive options, like, no. I think the lack of consistency is good. It makes it exciting. I don't see why consistency is a bad thing, and that's what I'm talking about. Like, yeah, the game is chaotic, And yeah, players are inconsistent, but why is that a problem? What is the problem with Street Fighter 6? You're like that's an example of what I'm talking about. Like he's gonna state a bunch of facts. He's going to state his opinion, but he's not going to explain why these things are bad. As for random, no. This game is not random. Fighting games in general tend to not be random. They usually do their damnedest to admit randomness in their games. Like Smash has random factors in it. Like Game & Watch has his hammer, his peach turnips. Like there are characters with like RNG built into the game, but there's no RNG in Street Fighter. That's just a lie. I don't know where he's getting that from.
The fact that you get a lot of characters, some of these offensive characters, they get Oki, unlimited Oki like this from one knockdown. You just get Oki after Oki, Oki after Oki, strike throw Oki all the time. It is just like you're literally gambling. It's less of a fighting game, and it's more like a gambling simulator. I swear to God, it is like that. It is like that. It really is like that. You know, it just makes it highly inconsistent because you're always just like guessing every single time you get knocked down. You're always just guessing. You're always versus some of these characters. I'm not talking about all the characters, but some of these characters, and some characters just do it like in the corner, right?
Okay. This is my number one most aggravating thing that people say. I think complaining about the fact that you have to guess in a fighting game is the single dumbest thing that you could complain about. Like, that's, like, I'm sorry, but, like, that's the dumbest shit you could say about a fighting game. Oh, no, I have to guess. In what world? In what universe are you playing a video game with another sentient human being on the other side with a perfectly executable playbook that will give you victory every single time? Like that, and I think that's the number one thing. People don't want to guess, but tough shit. You're playing a 2-player game. You have to guess. There's no getting around it. And that's not a problem with Street Fighter 6. That is an aspect of playing versus games. Not even just fighting games, but any game with another human being. If you want to win, if your goal is to win, you're not going to just do the same shit over and over again and expect victory every single time. No. Like, even if you're playing the CPU, like, you have to guess. You're not supposed to know. You're not supposed to fucking know. That's the point. That's what makes versus games games and not visual novels. Like, if you don't want to guess, watch a movie. Watch a movie you've already watched before. Read a book that you've already read before. Like you're complaining about having to engage with the video game. And that makes negative sense. And that's the shit that everyone says. Oh, you just gotta guess all the time. Oh, you're always put in a situation where you have to guess. Yes, stupid. You have to guess all the fucking time. No matter what. Duh. What is the alternative? You're not going to provide an alternative. I know that. I've already watched this shit. And, like, there is none. The alternative is to do something else. Like, turn the game off and watch TV if you don't want to guess. Like, you're playing... You shouldn't even be playing video games if your complaint is, I don't want to guess. Alright. Bye. Peace out. Like, fuck out of here.
Some other characters do it from like everywhere in the screen. So it's just really frustrating to play. It is really frustrating to play seriously. It is fun to play like just if you don't care about tournaments, if you don't care about points, if you don't care about results, whatever, it is fun to play, right? But if you are serious, this craziness, this chaos, it is just highly inconsistent.
And he's gonna use the words chaos and craziness a lot because they're vague. Like he's gonna talk about how crazy the game gets. It doesn't mean anything, and that's the issue. It's like you're saying a bunch of stuff, but none of what you says actually means anything. Like, you're never gonna get to the problem with Street Fighter 6. You're just gonna state a bunch of facts and then not explain why these things are bad. Things being crazy could mean anything. Marvel 3 was crazy. Dragon Ball FighterZ is crazy. Like, yeah, crazy shit happens all the time. It's not bad, though. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. Or at least, if you believe that there's something wrong with it, like, you're not gonna explain it.
Highly inconsistent, and it gets really frustrating. It feels like all of the how often do you guys watch a Street Fighter 6 match, like in a tournament or something like that? Not even in a tournament, but like even online or ranked or something like that, and you see that the round is going, it's like a lengthy round. How often does that happen? It rarely ever happens. All of the matches that you see and all of the rounds that you see, they end very quickly.
Okay. The first time I watched this, I think there was a point that he was trying to make, and I believe this is where it starts. I think he's trying to say at this point that with the super like aggressive characters in this game, their ability to maintain offense throughout the whole game allows for entire matches to end very quickly. Right? That's his point. His entire argument is against rushdown characters. Characters that are able to stick to you very, very easily. But, like, later on, he's going to start arguing with himself. And I'll explain when we get there.
20 seconds maximum. Every round is like 20-25 seconds maximum. Like, they did this deliberately, bro. They did this deliberately and by design. They don't want...
You cannot prove that. You cannot prove that they designed this intentionally. And I believe that if they really wanted matches to end super fast, they wouldn't have added defensive mechanics to the game at all. Parry would not be a thing. Drive reversal would not be a thing if that was true. I don't think that if they really wanted matches to end really quickly, then they wouldn't have added anything to the game that allows like defense to be strong. Whether or not you think defense is strong in this game is irrelevant. They tried. There was an effort put into to make defense stronger. And I think that's enough to prove that no, this was not on purpose.
Want the matches and the rounds to stay for long. They don't want them to be, long matches, because that's boring for the viewer.
Okay, they don't want them to be long matches because that's boring for the viewer. Hold that thought.
That is boring for the viewer. That's why you see like those strong, offensive mechanics like drive rush, or drive rush Oki. You see, throw loops. You see the level 3 damage or the super damage. They don't get nerfed. These kind of stuff, they don't get nerfed because these are the things that finish the game quickly. These are the stuff that just like from one mistake you just get...
Like, parries exist. Like, those aren't the only mechanics that they introduced to the game. Like, yeah, there's drive rush, yeah, there's drive impact. There's also parries. There's also drive reversal. They added wake up drive reversal. You don't even have to be a block stun to activate that. Like, I'm not saying what you're saying is untrue, but there's also other things that are true. Like, there are defensive mechanics in the game that people are either not using or, it just doesn't always work. Just the nature of it, it's not supposed to always work anyway. Like, you can't ignore these things. It's dishonest.
Like, steamrolled into, like, death. It's not gonna get calmed down in the future, bro. It will only get calmed down in the future if they nerf specific things, which I'm gonna talk about.
He's not gonna talk about it. He's not. He says specific things, but he's never gonna bring it up, cause his point is too vague. His entire idea is so broad that there's no one specific thing that you could nerf to even get to whatever the fuck ideal version of Street Fighter 6 that he's talking about. He's ignored like half of the game mechanics to make this point. It's like you can't. Like what if I think the idea is that he wants the offensive players to not, or the offensive characters to be nerfed so that like, you know, you end up in neutral more often. But like, how do you fucking do that in a game that has Drive Rush? and that's not a rushdown character problem. That's something that every character has access to. So like, you're also nerfing the defensive characters by doing that as well. How would you even do that? Like, what is the alternative?
Right, but with this version of the game, it has been a year and 3 months now. It's been a year and 3 months, right? We have been playing this game. I have over 1,500 hours in this game, and some other people they have over 2,500 or 3,000, hours in this game, and it's only getting crazier. I swear to God, this right now, the version of this game and the way that people are playing right now, it is even crazier than 3 months ago. So we're just going down this path even further. Every single phase, you could say, people are just getting crazier and crazier and crazier, and the playstyle is just getting crazier and crazier and crazier. There's less emphasis on like playing slow, playing footsies, playing like fundamental kind of play, and there's more emphasis on like playing crazy.
But how many times do they use the word crazy in that sentence? Like, what does any of that mean? What does any of what you said even fucking mean? I can sort of glean that you're talking about like, oh well, fundamentals is less emphasized in this game. All right, fundamentals. That's like what? Fucking whiff punishing and anti-airs? That's about it. Like, I'm sure that's in that game. It is in this game. Like, if a character jumps and you anti-air them, that's fundamentals. If a character presses a button in neutral and you whip punish them, that's fundamentals. If someone gets counter hit in neutral, that's fundamentals. But like, none of those things are absent in this game. They're just less relevant because you have mechanics like Drive Rush and Drive Impact and parries and Drive Rush. Like, yes, these are all true. All that stuff that you just said is true. Why is that a problem? Why is it bad? What is wrong with that? Like, I don't fucking understand. It sounds like his complaint is that this game is not Street Fighter 2. Therefore, I hate it. I don't know what to tell you, man. Go play Street Fighter 2.
And if you are able to if you have the ability, if you have the skill of actually analyzing replays, and you watch high level tournaments of like, let's say the best 50 players in the world, and you watch these tournaments and stuff like that, you will realize that what they're doing is not it's all like offensive kind of play. It's all offensive kind of play. And the majority of it, I would say that 90% of it is like the offensive kind of play, and it's just you trying to have like multiple layers where like you're just trying to mix people up with like multiple stuff and just get that knockdown. Like,
I'm gonna go back. I want you to try to figure out what the fuck he's talking about. Listen to what he's saying, and then try to get some ounce of meaning out of what he's talking about.
Of actually analyzing replays, and you watch high level tournaments of like, let's say the best 50 players in the world, and you watch these tournaments and stuff like that, you will realize that what they're doing is not it's all like offensive kind of play. It's all offensive kind of play, and the majority of it, I would say that 90% of it is like the offensive kind of play, and it's just you trying to have like multiple layers where like you're just trying to mix people up with like multiple stuff and just get that knockdown. Like, there is not much emphasis on like slow play, on like the you know, the Street Fighter kind of like play where it made the game famous, you know, like fun.
You mean Street Fighter 2? Yeah, we're pretty far off from Street Fighter 2, dude. Like, yeah. In fact, the thing that confuses me the most about what you just said is that, like, we're just talking about how people are playing offensively. Yeah. Like, yes, it's a fighting game. Offense is kind of a requirement to win matches. Like, I don't know what you expect. I don't know what you intend to for the alternative to be. Like, do you want someone to just sit there and hold down back and win the match that way? Because I think that's unfun. I think that's not fun to watch. I wouldn't say that's a problem. Like, if it was the other way around, like, if zoners and defensive characters were, like, super strong in this game, I wouldn't say that's a problem. I would hate it. Like, I would hate it. I hate defensive characters. I hate Guile and Dalsum and characters that just sit there and do fucking nothing and have all the advantage in the world and can dictate the fucking... and can dictate the pace of the match just by existing. Like, I hate those kinds of characters. Is that a problem with the game? No. Like, that's just... I just don't like it. If that was the title of this video, I wouldn't have a problem. I wouldn't be responding to this. If this said my problem with Street Fighter 6, then I wouldn't be responding to this video. But it says the problem. It's this, like, this isn't, there's nothing wrong with any of this shit. Like, come on. Be honest.
Fundamentals, with punishing, all of that. It's just not like this anymore. It is just not like this. And I don't know, man. I don't know. It's more emphasis on guessing, less emphasis on neutral. I don't know. They want you to be attacking all the time. They don't want you to be defending. Like, you get, like, if you defend in this game, you don't even have to make a mistake. If you defend in this game, you're literally penalized. You're literally
That's a nice, like, statement. Where's the proof? Prove it. Why would you be penalized for defending? And by defending, I'm talking about the super vague concept of just avoiding getting hit. You have parries, you have drive reversal, you have the regular ass block mechanic, you have throw attacks, like, what? You have invincible reversals, you have metered invincible reversals, like, what? Like, it just sounds like... and that's the thing. He's going to bring up throw loops eventually, but, like, I've had this conversation about throw loops. It's like, throws have the natural weakness of just being techable. You can tech the throw. But the response to that is always, oh, but if I tech the throw, I'm going to get hit by the meaty. It's like, why are we even assuming that a meaty is going to come if your problem is being thrown over and over? Like, if your complaint is that my opponent keeps throwing me, and my response to you is, alright, just do the thing that counters the throw, and your response is, well, what if he just... No, shut up! no, shut up. You've decided to complain about throw loops. So, you know your opponent is going to throw you, and instead of trying to counter the throw, instead of engaging in the video game and trying to defend yourself from the thing you're complaining about, you're just going to sit there, get thrown, and still complain that you got thrown. Like, you have, and it's not even just throw techs. You can backdash, you can jump. You use an invincible reversal. Like, you can do many different things, but they choose to do nothing, and then they get thrown, and they say throw loops are a problem in the game. It's like, no! You're not engaging with the game, and in order to engage with the game, you have to guess, stupid. Like, yes! Turn your brain on. Like, do a thing. I think getting thrown repeatedly is worse than actually taking a combo, because then your opponent knows that, okay, this guy's just not active. This guy is just, his brain is just not on. So I'm just gonna keep throwing him. Free damage for me. Free, completely uncontested damage for me. That's worse. Like, now, not only are you losing the match, but now your opponent thinks you're stupid. How's that worse? Like how's that better than taking a counter hit? At least you tried. Like, fuck. Jesus.
Penalized by losing Trimeter, aren't you? You know, you're literally penalized, and defending in this game is just bad. And I think this is a general issue with like fighting games in 2024 in general. And I think Tekken also like suffers from the same issue, and some of the other new fighting games also suffer from the same issue, because it is clear. It is clear. I remember this first popped up when DBFZ was out, when Dragon Ball FighterZ was out, and
I don't know why he's bringing up Dragon Ball FighterZ. Like, do you know the fucking IP you're referring to? It's Dragon Ball. Of course that game is going to be hyper aggressive and offensive. It's Dragon Ball. You're out of your mind. Like, I don't even know why you're bringing it up. Like, what? Like, the entire franchise is revolved around super hyper fast offense. Like, no. Don't even make this comparison.
Viewers were complaining about how long the rounds or the matches were. Alright? So they were like, oh, this is a real problem of Dragon Ball FighterZ. So I think from 2018 and moving forward, that's where
people were complaining about the length of matches because people didn't optimize combos, and there were 3 characters on the screen. There are 6 characters in total. Every one of them, all 3 characters on one team has to be knocked out in order to win. You have 3 characters, and you have a bunch of people with unoptimized combos that have to land like 3 or 4 hits in order to kill one character. Yeah, matches are going to take a while. Duh. Like, and not only that, you had like snapback meta, where like you weren't doing super high level damage, you were setting up for just doing a snapback, which didn't kill the character, but it was like slowly chipping off blue health, like every once in a while. Like, there are other reasons why those matches took a while. It wasn't just, oh, those games like had too much defense. Actually, the main complaint was that there weren't enough defensive options in Dragon Ball FighterZ. At all. The only defensive options you had were just blocking and reflect, which only works when you're not already blocking. So, the hell are you talking about?
where this trend has started, because Tekken 7, from what I know, it's not an offensive game. It is a defensive based game.
That's because Tekken has historically had shit like Korean backdashes, where you were able to get away from your opponent very easily. So like 90% of Tekken 7 was like neutral, if I remember correctly. I didn't play enough Tekken to really say for sure, but from an outsider's perspective, from a lot of Tekken that I'd watched, like, yeah, Tekken was also like, they had a bunch of high mobility in general. Like, the thing that makes you good at Tekken is mastering mobility. So when you get good at mobility, you tend to just not get hit by shit. So matches take longer. That's it. Like, I don't know how else to put it.
Street Fighter V was also more at least more defensive than this.
Out of your mind. out of your fucking mind. Street Fighter V is more defensive than this? What? I don't... okay. He said Street Fighter V. Like... in a game with Urien... in a game with Balrog... Street Fighter V. Maybe in the final season. Maybe at the tail end of the final season. Maybe. Sure. But like... Just one for one. Please remind me, why does my nose itch so much? Damn. Like, the number one complaint of that game is that, like, you get back thrown in the corner, your opponent pops V-trigger, and you just die. That was the game where they removed throw loops. And you know why they... And I don't know if I'm going to get to talk about this later, but I might as well bring it up now. You know why throw loops were taken out of Street Fighter V? And the reason why throw loops are still here in the game? You know what? He is going to bring it up later. I'll cover that when we get to it. But, like... Yeah, they had to nerf offense in Street Fighter V. Because defense was weak and non-existent in that game. Instead of adding more defensive mechanics, they instead nerfed offense. And then they added V-shift. And then it was kind of balanced at the end of the day. But Street Fighter V, more defensive than this? A game with, like, universal parries that every character has? Out of your mind. I don't know what you're talking about anymore.
At least more defensive than this. Yes, it was going through that path of like offense, but still it was more defensive than this.
You're arguing with yourself at this point. I hate it when people do that. I hate it when people do that shit. Where it's like, this thing may have... this thing certainly is X. It may have definitely been not X for a very long time, practically the entire time, but it was most certainly X. It's like, no! You just disagreed with yourself. Who are you arguing with? I don't understand. Yeah, Street Fighter V was way more defensive than Street Fighter 6. It may have been offense the entire time, but it was definitely more defensive than this. It's like, what? Do you hear yourself? Like, come on.
Here, defensive playstyle does not work. You have Guile who's very strong, right? But he doesn't do anything in tournaments because he's a defensive style player, character. So, defensive play style is just not cutting it anymore. Not cutting it anymore. And I don't think that, I don't think this can be changed unless they nerf drive rush, Oki. Every single time you get knocked down, you get like unlimited Oki by like drive rush, and some of these characters, they get strike and throw Oki from anywhere in the screen, right? After a knockdown. That's just sickening. Some of them even get it at a level 3. Some of these stupid characters, they get, Oki from like level 3. Why? Why is that? Right?
Because you got hit by the level 3. Yeah, that's why. Like, why are you getting hit by level 3s? Is my question. You probably got hit by a combo that led to a level 3. And yeah. What's the problem? I sort of get this one. I sort of understand this point because I do agree that Oki is its own reward, and you should probably sacrifice something for it, whether it be damage or like extra meter or something like that. But like, you are spending 3 bars, like, and let's say like, okay, so if you're getting hit by like a raw level 3 into Oki, you kind of, sure, you sort of deserve to deal with that Oki. Like, if someone's doing raw level 3 on you and you take, like, all the unscaled damage of that shit, then, yeah, that sucks. If you got hit by, like, a light and then they drive rush into a combo that leads to level 3, you're probably not taking that much damage in the first place. So, like, sure, whatever. Damage and Oki, though, I also don't believe that if you get hit by a level 3, then you should just go back to neutral. I think that's stupid. Why would I ever level 3 unless it's for the kill, if I'm just going to be put neutral again? Like, no. And that's the whole thing. Like, don't you think the players... like... He's talking about, like, I don't think he said it yet, but I think the point he's trying to make is that he wants the game to go back to neutral more often. But it's like, don't you think the players are just going to figure out a way to not go back to neutral? That's kind of how it always goes. Like whatever you nerf, nerf to force neutral again, people are just gonna stop using it, and they're just gonna keep using the things that give them Oki. That's not gonna change nothing. You're probably going to live longer because you're not going to get hit by, like, let's say if level 3s put you back in neutral, you're probably going to live longer because you're not getting hit by as many level 3s. But what about literally everything else in the game? Like, like how would you even do that?
Right? Imagine you get level 3, right? And you go in burnout. Maybe he even woke up level 3. Maybe he woke up CA, bro. Maybe he woke up CA, or he mashed CA in a block string, and God knows that how many block strings in this game. Everything here in this game has gaps where you can just mash level 3 in it, or mash super, or mash DP, or whatever, right? Or get perfect parry, right? Let's say he mashes level CA, and then you lose your last 2 bars of drive meter, and now you're in burnout, and he has Oki from that CA, and now you're put in the blender, right? Full screen Oki to the corner, and you get, checkmated into like DI, and you die. Like,
I'm gonna play through that example again. I want you to listen to what he's saying. Listen to the beginning of his hypothetical. Was the first thing he says, and tell me what the problem is with what he's saying and why he's saying it. Listen carefully.
that, right? Imagine you get level 3, right? And you go in burnout. Maybe he even woke up level 3.
Wake up level 3.
Maybe he woke up CA, bro. Maybe he woke up CA, or he mashed CA in a block string, and God
mashing
knows
CA out of a block string.
Block strings in this game. Everything here in this game has gaps where you can just
everything
mash
in the game has gaps,
in it, or mash super, or mash DP, or whatever, right? Or get perfect parry.
Yeah.
Right? Let's say he mashes level CA, and then you lose your last 2 bars of drive meter, and now you're in burnout, and he has Oki from that CA.
You get Oki,
and now you're put in the blender, right? Full screen Oki to the corner, and you get checkmated into like DI, and you die. Like,
wake up CA and mashing CA in the middle of a block string is a defensive option. You're arguing with yourself. What you just described is someone making a miraculous comeback from defense. Like, you just made a whole hypothetical about somebody wrecking somebody out of their Oki. They're in defense and you get CA'd. Wow. The miracles that happen when you use your defensive options and not just sit there and complain about how you're getting thrown over and over. Amazing. You said that's your example. This came out of your mouth. You're arguing with yourself from 10 minutes ago. Like, what? This game doesn't have, this game is too offensive oriented. Oh, imagine you get fucking CA'd on defense. Oh my god. It's like, what is... I don't think people listen to them. I don't think people hear themselves when they talk. Like... I thought Oki was so good. You just gave me a whole fucking hypothetical where you just die from using your defensive options. One more time. Let me make sure that I heard that right.
Imagine you get level 3, right? And you go in burnout. Maybe he even woke up level 3. Maybe he woke up CA, bro. Maybe he woke up CA.
Wake up CA. That means you got knocked down. As in, you got hit by your opponent, and they're trying to Oki you. You CA. They did anything other than blocked or parried, and they got hit by it. That's a defensive maneuver. That's a defensive option. And then you go on to describe someone winning from using their defensive option.
He mashed CA in a block string, and God knows that how many block strings in this game. Everything here in this game has gaps where you can just mash level 3 in it.
Everything in this game has gaps. Yeah. So, yeah, offensive is not that strong. It's not as strong as you keep saying it is. Like, you just said it. According to you. That's not even me saying it. According to the example that you're giving me, offense is not that strong then. Since this is a complaint, apparently.
Mash super, mash DP, whatever, right? Or get perfect parry, right? Let's say you mash his level CA and then you lose your...
And, like, if anybody's wondering, like, oh, well, what if you don't have meter? Don't ask me. Ask him. This is his example.
Last 2 bars of drive meter, and now you're in burnout, and he has Oki from that CA, and now you're put in the blender, right? Full screen Oki to the corner, and you get, you know, checkmated into like DI, and you die. Like,
also, it's kind of like universally agreed that if you go into burnout for any reason, you get no sympathy. Like, that's like the whole point. Like, getting burnt out means that you lost. You deserve to lose. Like, you're not going to get any sympathy from anybody from getting burnt out to death. Like, nah. This is a terrible example. This example that you created flies in the face of every argument that you made prior to this. Like, I don't understand why you even brought this up.
you know, this kind of stuff needs to go. Like, unlimited Oki needs to go. We need to go back to neutral. Let us go back to neutral more often, please, Capcom, please.
Why? Why do you want that? So you can play Street Fighter 2? Go play Street Fighter 2! You're playing the wrong game. This isn't a problem. This is just... You don't want to guess. Most of the people who talk about shit like, oh, I don't want to deal with Oki, I don't want to fucking deal with throw loops, you don't want to guess, which means you don't want to engage in the fighting game. Alright, then turn it off. Turn it off and go play Final Fantasy.
Like, this game is being ruined by the unlimited Oki that is, you know, happening from drivers. Those throw loops also in the corner, like, why? Everybody is complaining. Nobody is actually, like, liking throw loops. Do you see anybody actually liking throw loops? Nobody likes throw loops. So why is it still there? Everybody's just begging.
Why is it still there? I'll answer that. Because you start every round with full meter. That's why. Because the game has parries in it. Because perfect parry is a thing in this game. And you start every round with full bar. Because, and going back to Street Fighter V, talking about, oh, this game is way more, Street Fighter V is way more defensive than Street Fighter 6. Okay, tell me this. I'll tell you this. Street Fighter V, they removed throw loops. The reason why they removed throw loops is because in Street Fighter V, at the beginning of every round, or at the beginning of the first round of every game, you start with no meter. You start with nothing. They also, after like Season 2 or Season 1.5, they removed meterless invincible DPs. They removed invincible meterless reversals. So the only ways that you can get out of a defensive situation is to either use your V reversal or use your meter to do a invincible reversal. But if you didn't have meter, you get thrown to death. Because the only way you use your V reversal is that you have to be in block stun. And to be in block stun, your opponent has to do a meaty. So to avoid that situation, your opponent will throw you over and over and over. As long as you didn't have bar, because all you could do is either block or do something risky, like either jump or backdash. So it's advantageous to the offender to walk up to you and throw you repeatedly. Now, in Street Fighter 6, not only do you have parries, so that, like, you know, if they do a strike, you're covered, but you start every round with full meter. For all the characters that have an invincible reversal, and the only ones that this will apply, the only ones that this doesn't apply to are the grapplers. For Zangief, for Manon, for Lily, people who play those characters, they have a genuine reason to bitch. If you're playing Bison, then you're playing Bison. You don't have a reason to bitch. But everyone else has a valid reason to bitch about throw loops. Or Everyone but people who play those characters, that play grapplers, have a valid reason to bitch. Because they just don't have metered invincible reversals. But for everyone else that has a DP, shut up. Shut your dumb ass up. Like, just... you have defensive options. You just refuse to use them. People still think they're playing Street Fighter V, and then they just can't DP their way out of offense. And it's like, well, if I DP and they block it, it's like, well, are you predicting a throw or not? Like, pick one. Like, like you have to predict something. You have to guess. You can't just not guess. That's what's getting you thrown. That's why you die. That's why you get counter hit on wake up, because you're not guessing. You have to. You're not supposed to know what happens next. You have to make a decision. Like, it's not fucking... It's not a visual novel. Like, just pick an option. Damn it. And you can't complain about what happens at the end of it, because you just guessed wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with guessing wrong. You just guess in the first place. If you get throw looped, it's your fault. It's your fault you get throw looped. And my thing is, we keep talking about how, like, oh, well, you shouldn't be able to throw somebody in the corner over and over again. Alright, so if I throw you in the corner and the throw pushes me too far back to throw you again, the only way that I can possibly open you up a second time is to strike you. Lower, to either do a low or do a I don't even know if it's an overhead, because overheads don't lead to, like, damage. That was the case in Street Fighter V. Like, when they nerfed throw loops, they pushed you too far back to get another throw. So the only way that you can even attempt to open your opponent up a second time is to do a low and nothing else. Like, you could get, like, a raw overhead, but for some ungodly reason, overheads were, like, 0 on hit. Except for Ibukis, because for no reason Ibuki could combo from her overhead. But everyone else, their overheads were 0 on hit and did about as much damage as a single medium. So there was no reward at all for successfully hitting your opponent on their wake up. Like, there was nothing you could do. If they could just hold down back, and you just can't do shit about it unless you have a special move that happens to be an overhead that leads into shit. Otherwise, like, there was nothing. And that sucks. How is that fair to me? Why would I throw you, and now you've already escaped whatever pressure that comes next from me just by me throwing you, without you having to do anything? That's stupid. Like, that's stupid and unfair to me. Like, a lot of the suggestions for nerfs to stuff is, like, just getting rid of the reason to do it at all in the first place. It's like, okay, so now I have no reason to throw you because I can't do shit to you after I do so in the corner. And you just get, like, a get out of jail free card. It's like, no. And the paradox of it all is that the entire complaint about throw loops is that, like, oh, well, if they keep throwing me, that's better than taking full combo damage. It's better than me getting counter hit and losing half my life just because I tried to take the throw. Alright, so you're saying that by me throwing you, that's the best case scenario for you because you're just taking, like, the one chunk of damage and that's it. So, you know, the worst thing for me is to keep throwing you, because I would have to throw you like 11 times to kill you in the first place. So that's the worst option for me. But you also want to escape throws. You also want throws to not lead to Oki. Like, why would you make my worst option even worse? Like, it makes no sense. Like, just think about it. People rather would get thrown than take a combo. But they also want you to not be able to throw you again after a throw. So the only way that I would be able to hit you or deal any damage to you is to do a meaty. The thing that you don't want to get hit by. The thing that you would rather get thrown, like the thing that you would rather just take a throw as opposed to getting hit. I'm having a hard time articulating this. I wish I can like pull up a diagram so I can just draw it out. But like, I hope you understand what I'm saying. Like, the reason why people take the throw is the least damaging option. So if throw is the least damaging option, that's the least reward that I'm getting for throwing you. But you want to remove the reward from throwing you. That doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense. Why don't we and why don't we ever talk about people looping throw vulnerable options? Oh, it's super scrubby to just spam throws all the time. You know what's also super scrubby? It's super scrubby to spam options that are vulnerable to throws. Why are you block spamming? Why are you spamming parries when you have all these other options? They need to get rid of block loops in this game. They need to get rid of parry loops in this game. It's too brain dead and dumb. That's what I have to say to that.
Begging Capcom to remove throw loops, but they're not gonna remove it because it makes the games last longer. It hurts.
What do you mean it makes the games last longer? Earlier you said that they designed this game so matches go quicker. You're arguing with yourself. Your entire fucking rant from before is that they want the matches to go fast. That's why they make everything super offensive. Now you're saying, oh, they want throw loops in the game so games will last longer. You're arguing with yourself. You don't know what you're talking about. I'm sorry, but you keep defeating your own arguments in your own fucking video.
Esports, it hurts the viewership. It hurts people who don't know the game watching it. They be like, oh, what is this? What is imagine they go and they do this to boxing, for example. Imagine they go and ruin the boxing sport just to be, you know, just to end faster, right? Let them just like add some new rules or something like that, so then it adds faster. So then the people who see, you know, like Mayweather, you know, blocking punches and dodging punches and landing some crucial punches, right, on his opponent, but he's still getting punched, but he's blocking everything. And the people who don't know boxing, they watch it and be like, oh, he got his ass kicked, he should lose, you know, no way he's gonna win that. And then the score comes out and he has won the match. They want to cater to that ignorant viewer, right? The person who doesn't know the game. They want to.
Okay. As someone who doesn't watch boxing, I am the perfect demographic for whatever this example is supposed to be. I don't watch boxing. I don't know the rules of boxing beyond knock the other person out and keep them down for at least 10 seconds. Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me. Yeah, if a guy's getting wailed on the entire time and he's not throwing a single punch and he's just blocking shit, yeah, he should lose. Why would he win? It's a boxing match. Boxing is about punching the other guy. If you're not punching the other guy, why would you win? Like that. Like that's the entire argument here. It's like if the one guy is literally not doing shit and just sitting there with his arms like this and never throws a punch on his own, why would he win the game about punching? Like, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Why would he win? How do you earn points by just doing this? I see it in the way of, like, fencing. Isn't, like, well, I don't know much about fencing either, but I'm pretty sure in fencing that, like, yeah, you do, I think you do earn points for defending yourself, but you also have to swing, you know? Like, if you don't swing at all ever, and you only, like, parry shit, I don't think you win a game of fencing. Don't quote me on that. I kind of just said that out of my ass, I'm not gonna lie. But, like, usually in games where, about a thing, doing that thing is what gets you to win that thing. And not doing the thing results in you losing because you're not doing the thing that the game is about. Like, yeah, duh. Like, like you can't apply this to any other sport. Like in basketball, if you just prevent your opponents from scoring the entire time without scoring yourselves, guess what? It's a tie. You both have 0 points. Congrats. And it's especially bad if, like, the other team does score. If you unsuccessfully defend your goal and they do score, and then you spend the rest of the game not scoring and just preventing your opponent from scoring, yeah, you lose. That's how it is for everything. Like, every game ever. I don't... This is a terrible example. I don't know what the... Yeah, it's a fighting game. Fighting involves, like, lunging your limbs and your body parts at your opponent to deal damage. If you're not doing that, then, yeah, you lose. In Street Fighter, there's no point system. It's just reduce the fucking bar. Reduce your opponent's health to 0. That's it. That's the only rule. I don't...
They wanna, cater to that. That's what fighting games in 2024 are doing. That's what Street Fighter 6 is doing right now. They're not catering to the people who are actually, to the player base that actually sticks to the game. They wanna cater to the viewer who is just like a casual who doesn't know what is happening.
He still hasn't explained that, by the way. Like, he keeps saying that, like, oh, the game is made for viewers and is not catering to the players. It's like, what does that mean? What do you mean by saying that? You're not saying anything. You're talking a lot and saying nothing. Like, fighting games from way back then are perfectly watchable. All they did was color code some of the characters when they do shit, so that people will be more excited when things happen on the screen. That's it. That's, like, the only thing that I could think of that is, like, designed for esports and for the viewers. The fact that there's, like, paint splashes all over the place. What does that have to do with how the game is played? Explain that shit. Like,
and just wants to enjoy and see something flashy, see some combos, see whatever. That is what's happening in this game. That is how this game was designed. I just want to, like, and you have other stuff where they punish you for fundamentals. Like right now, it's not only that fundamentals does not work that well, right?
If fundamentals don't work, then it's not fundamental. Like, that's the problem with from latching on to this fucking buzzword that we made, like, ages ago for traditional fighting games, where, like, where fighting games have changed drastically over the years. Even Street Fighter. Like, I think people still have this idea that Street Fighter is supposed to be this slow-paced, traditional, like, footsie-based fighting game. No, we've gone past that. We've been so far past that since, like, Third Strike. Like, I don't know what this fundamentals fantasy that people are coming up with. It's like, it's not like these things are absent from the game. They're just less important because the game has more shit to offer than that. And there's nothing wrong with it. And the whole, like, just the whole aspect of the word fundamental mean that this is something that, like, should be universally applicable to every fighting game. And so when I think of that, I'm just thinking of, like, anti-airs and footsies. But like, that's in the game. You can't even remove that from the game. You can make it really shitty. They made it really shitty in the opposite end in Street Fighter V, where everyone's fucking buttons are stubby. They just did the opposite of that, where like, okay, now everyone has relatively decent reach. Have fun. And somehow it's a problem again. Like, I don't get it. Fundamentals doesn't mean anything anymore. I just disagree with. I guess fundamentals as he's using it in this context.
Punish for fundamentals, bro. Like, like dry rush is insane, right? If you want to check dry rush, people, they just dry rush immediately into light punch, instant light punch, dry rush, light punch, dry rush, light punch. That is actually a counter for people who are trying to check your dry rush, right? It's just a counter for it. You have people who are, you have the ability to like cancel dry rush into special moves. You have the ability to use moves like Suppressor from Luke that actually counters, and you know, it's like brain dead. It's like,
how's it brain dead? You know what would be brain dead? If someone drive rushed and you were able to check it every single time. If every time someone did a drive rush and you pressed a button, then like that would disincentivize ever using the mechanic at all ever again. That's like that's like saying like using counter breakers in Killer Instinct is brain dead. Like, it makes no sense. Like, my opponent shouldn't be able to just break my combos by pressing the correct combination of buttons during my combo. They should just take the combo every time. They should just sit there and not guess. It's not, oh god, it's not even that they don't want to guess. They don't want other people to guess too. They don't want their opponent, they don't want any guessing happening between both players. I don't understand. Like, you don't want to play video games, is what you're telling me.
brain dead. It's a high reward, low risk move, right? For checking, for punishing people who are trying to check drivers. So there are multiple examples of this. There are multiple examples of this in the game that work in the exact same way. So why are we punishing, you know, fundamentals? Why are we punishing fundamentals? This is how the game is designed right now. And if you think that I'm talking crazy, go right now after you watch this video. Go right now and watch, you know, the last Street Fighter League, you know, final, or maybe like, you know, the World Cup, the Esports World Cup, or like EVO, whatever. See how many of these top players, the top 10 players in the world, how often did they do driver's light punch in neutral? How often would they do it? They would go in burnout just to use.
Even if I were to do that, let's assume you're right. Let's assume that if I were to watch EVO Grand Finals right now with Punk and Big Bird, if I were to go to that video right now and it turns out that they do drive rush light punch like every 2 seconds, like 100 times per set, what is your point? What the fuck is your point? What is wrong with that? Why is that a problem that people are drive rush light punching? It makes no sense. All you're saying is that players are doing X. And that's it. And then attaching players are doing X and it's ruining the game. It's like, what?
Driver's light punch. Driver's instant light punch. Why? Because it's just trying to catch anything. Trying to check, you know,
You mean fucking footsies? You mean fucking footsie, one of the aspects of fundamentals?
to, you know, bait somebody to like punishing the drivers, and then they do that. That is not fundamentals, guys.
That's exactly fundamentals. That's exactly what you're fucking describing. There's just a fucking entire mechanic attached to it. And you know what? And you know what? They're spending meter in order to do it. It's not free. You still have to spend bar in order to do that shit. It's just metered footsies. EX footsies, if you will. Or OD, whatever. I hate using OD. But like, what's the problem? Like, if Street Fighter V gave you the ability to spend meter to extend the range of your normals, people will be using it left and right. All the time. Whenever they can. Especially if it gave them plus frames. That's it. It's basically like you spend up bar, and then whatever normal you pressed, it has more range, it has more plus frames. It's still footsies. It's just metered footsies. It's still fundamentals. What you're saying is just straight up not true. Like, fuck. I'm only halfway through.
Pushes you to play. That is just how the game pushes you to play. And if it's a loop player, driver suppressor. Or something of that sort. Or driver's special move. Like, this is like sickening. To me, this is like sickening, and it's ruining the game for me. Like, I think...
if I go to any of his videos, and I swear to God, if I see him do a drive rush light at any point, it's over for you. Like, if you hate this mechanic so much, I better not see you doing it. God forbid that you not only not do it, but you also win your matches while not doing it. You have no argument. Like, whew. After I finish this video, I'm gonna find a match video of his, and I swear to God, if he does drive rush light punch and he wins a round, GG's.
They should remove the stupid shit, and they should add more fundamentals. And as I said, you know, you do this by removing, you know, unlimited Oki from drive rush. This is like the main problem in this game. Unlimited Oki from drive rush, throw loops. These two things have to be gone. I don't care if it hurts for you. I don't care if it hurts me personally as a player. It hurts. I don't care. This game has to be fixed this way. And I tell you, this game will be much better, much more enjoyable if they do this.
If they do this, whatever this is, because you still didn't explain anything, you'd just be making Street Fighter V again, and look how fast and how happy everyone was to jump shit from that shit to this. The existence of Street Fighter 6 is already proving you wrong. Like, note how nobody's playing Street Fighter 5 anymore. What you're saying is just straight up untrue.
If they do,
in fact, people are going back to Street Fighter 4. People have been playing more Street Fighter 4 than they have for Street Fighter 5. And like that game literally coined the term vortex. I don't want to hear it.
If they do this, if we go back to the classic, you know, Street Fighter, where people are playing neutral, people are just like enjoying, you know, less chaos. This is not Capcom versus. This is not Marvel versus Capcom, right? This is not Dragon Ball FighterZ. This is not an anime fighter.
What does that even mean? So what if it's not? What does that mean? People love Marvel vs. Capcom. People used to love Dragon Ball FighterZ. I guess we don't now. Because rollback took too long. Now the game is trash all of a sudden. But like, these are perfectly beloved games. Why is this bad?
It should not play as an anime fighter. I played some of these anime fighters. I have seen high level, anime fighters. This is even crazier. In my opinion, Street Fighter 6 is the craziest fighting game that ever existed.
That's the straight up lie. That's the most dishonest shit I ever heard. Crazier than Marvel vs. Capcom. Out of your mind. Crazier than Dragon Ball Fighters. Like, I think just the simple fact that, and you know what? There is an inverse argument that perfect parries are too strong in this game. Like, which is it? Like, offense is too strong in this game. Perfect parries are too strong in this game. Throw loops are too strong in this game. You literally completed the triangle. All three of these things are too strong. Even though they all perfectly counter each other. Like, man.
Period. Yes, you would see like crazy combos, whatever, and other stuff, but this is the craziest shit out there. And the deeper you get in this game, the crazier.
Crazier. I get it. Crazier, whatever that means.
Right. That's why you see a lot of people who are just unable to cope with it. People who have the old mentality, people who have like the fundamentalist mentality and everything. You got players, you got top level legends, Daigo, you got Tokido. They're unable to cope with it. They are unable. Guys, come on now. Like, Tokido and Daigo right now are just shadows of themselves. They're not as good as before. It's just face it,
How?
Just face it. They cannot.
God damn it! I need a new mouse. Why is that the game's problem? If Daigo can't keep up with like the newer modern players anymore, which is not even true. Like, Daigo still performs extremely well in Street Fighter 6. He's just not as dominant as he was. And that's not even reflective of the game state. You could also account for the fact that the man is in his 40s, probably has a life beyond fighting games, unlike when he was in the arcades. Like, also, younger people are coming up. There are more and more newer, younger Street Fighter players who are getting really good. There are some old heads that are still around, that are still really good at Street Fighter 6, doing very well. I think it goes way beyond, like, oh, this game is too offensive. Daigo can't keep up. Like, no. In fact, I would say that's stupid. That's a stupid argument to make. It's the game's fault that Daigo isn't winning everything. What?
They're unable to cope to this game, and it's very, very obvious. It is very, very obvious. It's because the game is just not made for them. It's true. The game is just not made for them, bro.
Yeah, the game shouldn't be made for these particular people. They shouldn't make a whole ass video game for Daigo specifically, just so Daigo can win everything all the time. Yeah. Yes, that's how it should go. No video game, at least no video game made by a company, should be made for the sake of one fucking person on this planet. Why do you want Daigo to win everything all the time? Like, yeah, it's a little exciting when there's one super dominant player, like, dominating things all the time, but it's also super exciting when some new head, some new person comes around and they take that person down. What's wrong with that? Like, really? Take a shot.
I guess the question is, like, do they actually want to change that? I think they realize this. As I said, this is by design. They know everything that I'm saying. They know it, and they have deliberately did it this way.
I mean, nobody knows what you're saying. Nobody understands. Like, this comment section is crazy because everyone is agreeing with what he's saying, but they don't know. They don't understand a damn thing he said. I promise you. They couldn't recite a single point that he made. The issue is whenever has legitimate complaints about SF6 design, they get gaslighted and everyone pretends this game is perfectly fine. I'm not saying the game is perfectly fine, but I'm saying that the problems that he's saying in this game, which he hasn't said any problems, but the statements that he's made, the factual, objective statements that he's made in this do not reflect any sort of negative anything about the game at all. He's just stating... He's just describing the game, really. It comes down to character design. They aren't treating every character the same in terms of creativity. What does that mean? What do you mean in terms of creativity? Like, even the comments are nonsense. I just can't agree more. Strong characters having many ways to skip neutral game and still have good neutral buttons. The balance of SF6 is literally trash. Like, every match starts in neutral. How do you skip neutral in Street Fighter? It's not like Dragon Ball where, like, you have a super dash button where you just home in on your opponent and now you're in their face. Or like a single attack that has like a massive hitbox that you can't stop. That's plus. Like... I believe you 100%. No one really gets to experience how annoying the game is until you become a Ryu player. That's the Ryu player problem. This is purely a Ryu problem that you're describing. Like, okay, so apparently the only people who knows how bad this game is are Ryu players. No one else gets it. The problem is not the character design, it's the drive system. Universal hyper armor reversals, neutral skips, along with throw loops is tragic. Universal! Every character has it! What do you mean? Like, I would sort of understand the argument that, like, some characters have, like, really good drive rushes, and some characters have, like, really bad drive rushes, but the defensive mechanics are all the same. I think the only character who had, like... I think Dhalsim had some problem with his drive reversal, and they fixed that. Like, pretty much. With the exception of, like, some characters that have, like, kick-based drive impacts and drive reversals that could get, like, tundra-stormed. Besides that, the defensive mechanics in this game are strictly universal. Everyone has the same parry. Everyone has mostly the same drive reversal. Yeah, in Street Fighter V, you were set to neutral almost every knockdown. Yeah, with your stubby-ass normals. That's why, like, that's why everybody went out of their way to find, like, fucking Oki setups and safe jumps and shit like that. To avoid this. It's not like Street Fighter V didn't have the same problem. It was just people had different solutions for the problem. Combining drive combos with Super 3 was a mistake. Rounds can basically be determined based on who lands a crouching medium kick in the drive rush. I've lost 80% due to that trash system, and the damage output needs to change because holy moly. Footsies. I don't know what to tell you, dude. Like, you're still getting hit by the crouch medium kick. Like, in order for this to happen, you have to lose neutral. It's that simple. You don't just get hit by this. You were doing something that got you hit by this crouching medium kick. And if you blocked it and they drive rush, you have options. You could parry, you could DP, you could super, you could backdash, you could... But you have to guess. It all starts with guessing. Predicting and guessing and acting.
Deliberately made it this way. The question is, are they willing to change it? Do they want to change it? You know? Do they want to change it? I don't think that they want to change it, because they had a year and 3 months where they could have actually nerfed drivers, or drivers Oki, or drivers in general, right? Or throw.
Why would they do that? That doesn't make any sense. Why would they nerf something you have to spend meter on? Like, Drive Rush is not free. It costs a bar every time you do it. Everybody with their loud-ass cars in my neighborhood that definitely don't live here. Fuck out of here. Christ. I think it's the same dude just circling the block. But yeah, like, no. No!
Loops. Or the level 3 super damage or everything like that. But they did not, you know, nerf it. So I don't think that they want to nerf it. I think they wanted to keep it this way. And for one reason only. Esports. Esports. I think that this game is designed from the ground up all for esports. All.
What does that mean? What does that mean? Elaborate. What do you mean the game is made for esports? And why is it a problem? Why is it bad? Why is it a negative thing?
To be fun for the viewer, not fun for you and me, the player. You, the person who's playing, right? It's difficult for you to find consistency in this game because it's chaotic. But the chaos is fun to watch, right? If I'm watching a tournament, man, and somebody gets hit with some random bullshit, I'd be like, man, feels bad for him. You know? I would just laugh it off. I would just laugh, right?
Like, these vague terms. Not a single example. What does random bullshit mean? It can't be random if there's another human being on the other side pressing buttons and making decisions. Like, someone is making decisions and you're not, and you're complaining because you're losing, because you refuse to guess. Because you refuse to engage with your opponent. And you say it's random. There's a whole other human being. What do you mean? You're not fighting the CPU. It's another sentient human. Play the game with them. It's not a single player, like, there is a single player mode, but like, you know, if we're talking about, like, just competing against other people, yeah, that's the nature of competing with other people. Like, if you just jumped in with, like, heavy kick or some shit over and over and over, and then, like, after the 4th time you get DP'd out of the air, oh, that's bullshit. I've been jumping in at you this whole time, and now you want to anti-air me? What the fuck? What is this random horseshit? How dare you pay attention to my actions and act accordingly? Oh, what the fuck? He threw me? I was blocking. What is this random horseshit? I should just be able to hold down back and nothing bad will ever happen to me.
But if I'm in that seat and I get hit with that random stuff or that chaotic stuff, I would be angry as hell. I would be angry as hell. And that's why you got people who win Evo and then they go 2 weeks later, Punk won Evo. 2 weeks later, he went to the esports World Cup and he lost 2-0.
I don't understand the idea that people who win a major or people who are really good at the game should be winning all the time. like, this is just a weird level of just glorifying high-level players and thinking that they should just never lose. High-level players should just never lose, and the game should be designed in a way to make sure that these players in particular, Daigo, Punk, Tokido, Problem X, whoever the fuck has won Evo before, they have to win Evo every single time. The game has to be designed that way. Otherwise, it's trash. So according to this logic, Tekken 8 is a masterpiece because Arslan Ash won 5 Evos. I think in a row. Right? Hasn't Arslan Ash won... He's won at least 5 Evos, but I think he's won 5 Evos in a row. Correct me if I'm wrong. So that means Tekken 8 is doing fantastic. Just according to that logic. Yeah, okay.
That is exactly why people cannot find consistency in this game. Because of these stuff. And Punk also had like quote, I don't remember the quote exactly, but he said this, like, it means that, you know, once you're in the corner, no matter what level you are, once you're in the corner and you start throw looping the opponent, you are as good as the best player in the world. And that is true, because it becomes a gambling simulator. It doesn't become a fighting game, it becomes a gambling simulator where you...
See, the only reason why I disagree with this is because in order to gamble, you have to actually, like, press the button and pull the lever. You know what? Maybe that's the problem. People are viewing this as a gambling simulator, right? When you're gambling, I've only ever been to a casino once, so... But, like, let's say you're at a slot machine, right? What are you doing at a slot machine? There's no decision that you have to make in front of a slot machine other than pull the lever, put the money in, pull the lever. That's it. That's as deep as it goes. And then whatever happens, happens. If that's the mindset that you're going into when you're getting thrown to the corner, you deserve to lose. Absolutely. If not a single ounce of thought is being put into, all right, what do I think my opponent's going to do next? If I think he's going to do this, then I'm going to do this. If you don't think that far, then yeah, you deserve to lose. You're an idiot. Like, you're an idiot if that's how you approach fighting games. Like, I don't...
You are just gambling. You're just guessing. You are guessing. Every knock in some of these characters, every knockdown that you get, it's a guess. So if we are guessing, then how is this... If you're guessing the entire time from one knockdown, how is this good design? Somebody please tell me in the comments. I'm gonna put this on YouTube. Somebody please tell me in the comments.
Because you asked, I'll explain. Take a video game, remove guessing, just the aspect of, you don't have to guess anything ever. What do you have? What do you have at the end of the day? It's definitely not a fighting game. It's not even a video game. You have a movie. You have a movie or a TV show. One that you've probably already seen before. You want matches to be the same all the time. And that makes no sense. All chaos is the allowment for anything to happen. And that's what makes fighting games exciting. Like, I don't understand what people's problem with guessing. Guessing has turned into this weird derogatory term that doesn't mean anything in the realm of fighting games. Oh, I have to guess. Yeah. Water is wet. Like, you don't have a playbook. I promise, there's nothing in your entire fucking house, wherever the fuck you live, you cannot pull up a book of fucking plays that you can make in a game of Street Fighter that will work every single time. You don't even have one. If you truly believe what you're saying, you would have a book of things that you should do at all times in any given situation that you can reference whenever you're playing a fighting game. I promise you don't have it. Because that would be dumb, now wouldn't it? Like, that would just be really stupid to have something like that, because that means that every single time that you refer to this book, you should be winning matches. You should be in Legend rank, if that's the case. Well, or at least hypothetically you would be if this was a game where, you know, you could do that. But thankfully, this game allows for different results. This game allows for inconsistency. Consistency ruins fighting games, to be honest. Last Evo, and I mean Evo 2023, they brought back Marvel 3. And everyone was super excited. Everybody was all like, oh yeah, Marvel's back. Yeah, cool. And then I went to the fucking Grand Finals. That was my first Evo that I ever went to. Went to Grand Finals, and literally everyone I was surrounded by, my entire fucking row. I don't know about past that, but like my entire fucking section, not even just the row, just like in front of me, behind me, all around me, all the people that I was sitting around during Evo Grand Finals when King Blue River wasn't on the stage. Absolute silence and absolute just, oh my god, please, I just want this to end. And it was because, like, half of the people in the Grand Finals were playing Zero May Cry. Or Zero was on the screen at some point. And it was just people doing fucking lightning loops over and over and over and over and over again to win every game. And we were just bored to death. I left. I left the stadium to go get Starbucks because I just didn't want to watch. As soon as King Blue River got eliminated, I left. And came back for Tekken later on. Or came back for whatever game came after that. But, like, I don't want to see the same shit every single round. Especially for fighting games. Nobody wants that. That's why I was super pissed when they were like, oh yeah, we're bringing back Marvel 3 again for Evo 2024 instead of Dragon Ball FighterZ. What? What the fuck? We literally just did this. I didn't get to see, like, everything before Grand Finals, but, like, I was there for Grand Finals, and everyone was miserable when watching fucking Marvel 3 Grand Finals. Or not even the top 6. Like, we're watching the entire top 6, and we were fucking miserable when King Blue River wasn't on the stage. Nobody wants to see the same shit over and over again. You want to turn Street Fighter 6 in... That's what you're... that's what would make this game truly Marvel vs. Capcom. If the game was consistent. Fuck that. Fuck that shit. Why? Why on earth would you want that? Why would you want to not ever have to guess? It's lazy. You're just lazy as fuck. That's what that is. You probably practice your combos. Obviously, you do pretty well online. You're a master rank Ryu and all that stuff. But mentally, you're just lazy as fuck. That's probably the thing that's keeping you from being a legend. I don't know what the threshold is for being a legend, but I assume that 1700 is not that far off. I think if you just actually engaged in the fucking fighting game and just accepted the fact that there's no catch-all solution to anything or in everything, because that's how it should be. No single thing should have a perfect, like, uncontestable answer. That's the ideal for fighting games. Just like in real life. Just like in a real fight. Like, imagine if this was a boxing match, and one guy is like this, with his arms up, and the other guy has a gun. Who do you think is going to win? But the gun is consistent. I don't have to guess with a gun.
How, or somebody in the chat, tell me please, how is this a good design if I'm guessing the majority of the time? And I'm playing...
You know what? How about I challenge you? Tell me why guessing is bad. I'll wait. I expect to see a follow-up video explaining why guessing in fighting games or video games as a whole is a bad thing. That's all I ask. I've been asking a lot of that this whole time. Like, oh, well, why is this bad? Why is that bad? If there's one thing that I demand an answer for, is that. Why is guessing a bad thing in video games? Not even just Street Fighter, not even just fighting games. Why is guessing in a video game bad? That I want an answer to that question right there. That I demand an answer for.
Like, let's say 80% I'm guessing, right? And 20% I'm playing footsies. Or I'm playing like neutral, or I'm playing fundamentals or whatever. How is this good? How is this good? Somebody convince me. If you convince me, I'll happily.
There's like 5 minutes left. I don't know. I think he's done. But like, and this isn't even just to him, because nothing he said was new. He didn't say anything that was different from many of the people that I talked to online. There was a comment. It was a Mena RD set. It was like Mena versus Kawano, I think. And you know, Kawano was getting throw loop to death. And there was an entire comment section, there was an entire argument in the comment section about why throw loops are bad. And I had the same exact I basically said the same thing that I said in this video. And it's the same shit I have to say every time, because nobody can fucking dispute it. Like, why aren't you DPing? Why aren't you using your parries? Why aren't you backdashing? Why aren't you jumping if you think that your opponent's going to throw? Well, they might meet me and I might take the damage. Make a decision. Just make a decision and just accept whatever comes after. Because if you're just going to hold down back and you're going to bitch and complain because you're getting thrown, then I don't know what to tell you. You're in the wrong genre. And I'm not saying that Kawano is bad for getting thrown looped. I'm just saying that, like, that's what happens. That's what happens when you don't act according to what your opponent may or may not do. Which you shouldn't just know. You shouldn't know 100% what your opponent is going to do next. And that's why you have to guess. Otherwise, it's not that's what makes the game gambling. If you didn't have to guess, then the game becomes gambling. Because you don't have to think about anything when you're gambling. Put money in, pull a lever, and then whatever happens, happens. Like, we have all these weird rhetorical sayings of like, oh yeah, this game is Casino Simulator. But like, that's because you refuse to think about what the fuck your opponent is doing. It's your fault. It's only your fault that it's a casino simulator. That's what it is in your head. Whatever. But, that's all I gotta say about that. If your complaint is, I don't want to guess, then sell your video games. Give all your video games to me. I'll take them. I love guessing. Because I love playing video games. You could watch a movie, you could watch TV, you could read a book that you've already read. But this is the wrong hobby. This is the absolute wrong hobby if you don't want to guess. Do something else. Turn the game off. If that's what you believe.